This is a TR3A 1962. I picked this up in Las Vegas after it was in an accident and started to take it apart. Bought it in '83, started taking it apart, and just to the point of taking the body off the chassis, but in the instruction manual, the big 3-letter words, "do not remove," without building a frame for the interior. The frame stabilizes the body because the only support from front to rear on both sides is this bar that runs right here. So if you take it off without the frame, it'll twist. Then the only thing you can do is cut the pieces and then try to realign them, put them back together. So at that time, we had moved from Las Vegas to Alabama. I had trucked it there as part of household furnishings. And then when we moved from Alabama up here, I transported it up here. My wife says in 2005, our grandchildren will drive this if it takes you as long to put it back together as it took to take it apart. So I did research trying to find out where I could get it rebuilt, and came up with British Automotives in North Charleston. So I went down there, discussed with them the opportunity to do that, and they said yes, they would do it. And I said, well, treat it as a labor of love. I'm in no hurry. You can go ahead and take your time. Well, then he said, I can take the body and the chassis and ship to Mobile, Alabama to my father-in-law and have it done cheaper than I can take it to the guy across the street. So I said, okay, go ahead. And that they did. They had it about 18 months, rebuilt the engine, put everything back together. And in fact, right now, I'm at about 95% original. The only thing that's changed is the mesh gear for the steering column was a cantilevered mesh.
So that's this guy down here?
It's down underneath. You can't, it's almost difficult to see. But they don't make that anymore, and they only have square ones. Well, with the square one, you'd have about a 30-degree slop in the wheel, either depending on how you engaged it. So I opted to replace the steering column. Replacing the steering column then required a different radiator. But this radiator comes with a fan, and the TRs have always been a little hot.
Especially down here.
But the fan has done a wonderful job, and it's worked really good. The other item was starter. I wanted a starter that started the vehicle, because the old starters were a little slow in getting started. So essentially, that's what I've done. Got the car back in 2009, and I've been driving it ever since. I try to drive it twice a week. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I'm a fair weather driver, so that kind of restricts me at times. But the people I have working on it say that I don't drive it enough. I need to drive it more. Just because of the vehicle. Currently have a minor problem with the regulator, but when the last time I brought it in for the same engine, he went ahead and bought 2, anticipating to have this problem because they're rebuilds. Other than that, it's a joy. I enjoy driving it, and it's basically the history.
Were you telling me earlier that the lights?
Oh yes.
Your wife doesn't.
My wife doesn't want me driving at night because if you notice, the 2 taillights, the size, and that's all that's shining at night. So if you see somebody at 75 miles an hour coming down the road and all you see are 2 little tiny lights in front of you, it's they come up on you pretty fast.
You're telling me your little workaround. Sometimes you leave the blinker on. If it's getting a little dark, or
right.
The hazard lights.
Or get the hazard lights on, just so somebody knows that you're in front. It's a joy to drive, and you have to understand that there's no power steering and there's no shock, so you hit every pebble, and you work your arms making your turns.
Yeah.
And it has a wide turning radius.
Here, why don't you hop on in again? I know I got the photo.
Okay.
Let's talk a
Back
second. So, you said it's 1960.
1962.
Right? And then how many miles would you say? Or does the...
Well,
I know I was speaking to a gentleman earlier. He had a real old truck. And he said the odometer just goes up to 999, or then
right.
it rolled over. So I don't know if it's a similar situation here, or if it just keeps going.
Yeah, right now it's showing 70,000.
Wow.
That would be total miles on this car for the time it's set up, and I've probably got about 6,000 miles since it's been rebuilt.
It's truly incredible, you know, the craftsmanship and everything. It's just a whole different league than modern day cars.
Right. And I've worked on it up until a few years ago. Most of the work you have to do from underneath, and my wife says, no more. We can take it into the shop. You're not going to be crawling underneath it at your age. So, but other than that, it's been an enjoyable vehicle.
It's a beautiful car. And then we were talking earlier, you got the Air Force front plate. You served in the Air Force.
Yes.
What did you say, 64?
64 to 84. And flew F-4s, 2 tours of Vietnam. And in fact, the new PACT Act now recognizes those of us who flew out of Thailand rather than just Vietnam. And
yeah, thanks again for your service. Well, thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the interest.
Showing me around and giving me a little bit more about your story and sharing your passion with me. It's been really cool. I mean, I'm glad they put this together. I've seen some of these vehicles driving around.
Yeah, you'll notice how I get in and out.
You're looking pretty spry to me. I think I would struggle much more than you getting in and out of that.
Okay, where's my tool? Get her ready to
get her down.
Get her down.